Mysteries That Refuse to Die, Episode 6. The Disappearance of Brandon Swanson. Previously, on Mysteries That Refuse to Die, we uncovered the baffling disappearance of Brian Schaefer, the man who entered a bar and never came out. But tonight's story unfolds far from the city, in the vast, silent fields of rural Minnesota. It's a story of a phone call, a search that led nowhere, and a mystery that still echoes through the night air. This is the disappearance of Brandon Swanson. Years have passed, but the questions remain. It was May 14, 2008, the night before summer break. Brandon Swanson, a 19-year-old college student from Marshall, Minnesota, was driving home after celebrating the end of the semester with friends. He had just finished his first year at Minnesota West Community and Technical College, studying wind energy, a field he was passionate about. Brandon was responsible, friendly, and close to his parents, Brian and Annette Swanson. That night, he said goodbye to friends around midnight, got into his green Chevy Lumina, and started the drive home, a route he'd traveled many times. But something went wrong. Just before 2 a.m., Brandon's car went off the road near the small town of Lind. He wasn't injured, but his car was stuck in a ditch. So he did what anyone would do. He called his parents for help. On the other end, his father, Brian, picked up. Brandon calmly explained that he was fine, that he'd just taken a wrong turn, and he wasn't far from home. He gave directions based on where he thought he was, just south of Lind. His parents drove out immediately, headlights cutting through the dark, empty roads. They called him again to flash their lights. But Brandon said he couldn't see them. They couldn't see him either. For nearly 47 minutes, they stayed on the phone, trying to find each other. Brandon's tone remained calm, confident, even a little frustrated. Then he said, "Forget it. I'll just walk toward you. I can see the lights of Lind. I'll meet you there." He hung up and began walking along the gravel roads. His parents stayed on the line, guiding him as best they could. The night was pitch dark, the area surrounded by endless fields. And then, after 47 minutes of talking, Brandon suddenly said, "Oh shit." There was a rustling sound, and the line went dead. Brandon Swanson was never heard from again. At dawn, Brian and Annette called the police. But at first, officers dismissed their worry, suggesting Brandon had run away or stayed with friends. The Swansons insisted he wouldn't do that. Hours later, a search began. Authorities pinged Brandon's phone and discovered he was 25 miles away from where he thought he was, near the small town of Porter, Minnesota. His car was found, stuck in a ditch, just as he'd described. But there were no footprints, no signs of a struggle, and no indication of which direction he'd gone. Hundreds of volunteers, K-9 units, and even divers scoured the area, through fields, rivers, and farmland. The Yellow Medicine River became a focus after dogs tracked his scent toward it, but no remains, clothes, or belongings were ever found. It was as if the night had swallowed him whole. The disappearance of Brandon Swanson remains one of the most perplexing unsolved cases in America, because the facts simply don't add up. Theory 1. He fell into the river. Many believe Brandon may have slipped into the nearby Yellow Medicine River during his walk. But despite extensive searches, divers never found a body. The river was shallow and slow-moving, unlikely to conceal him for long. Theory 2. He wandered farther and died from exposure. It was a cold May night, and temperatures dropped below freezing. Brandon, disoriented in the dark, may have succumbed to the elements, his body hidden by tall grass or washed into drainage areas. But after more than a decade of farming, construction, and weather, no trace has surfaced. Theory 3. Foul play. Some suspect he might have encountered someone on those dark rural roads, a stranger, or even someone he knew. But there was no sign of struggle, and no evidence to suggest an attack. Theory 4. The unknown. Others point to how sudden his last words were. "Oh shit." Was it a fall? A surprise encounter? A flash of headlights from an approaching vehicle? The truth remains out of reach. Brandon's parents never stopped searching. They kept his case alive through interviews, awareness campaigns, and vigils. Their persistence led to the passage of Brandon's Law in Minnesota, requiring police to act immediately on reports of missing adults, especially when safety is at risk. For Brian and Annette Swanson, That law became their son's legacy. But the mystery, the question of where he is, still haunts them every day. In the middle of a quiet Minnesota night, a young man's voice faded into static, and a family's world was changed forever. He was calm. He was close. He was never found. Every search party, every drone scan, every season that passes brings the same question back. Where is Brandon Swanson? Years have passed, but the questions remain, until that final call is understood. His disappearance will remain one of the most haunting mysteries that refuses to die. Share your theories in the comments, and join us for the next chilling episode of Mysteries That Refuse to Die.